Hey there, everyone. Just getting started, making sure the streaming is set up. We're good. Awesome. I bet. Hey there. How are you? Elizabeth Hughes here. Today, I'm talking to doctors or anyone, actually anyone who's one of those left brain, linear, logical, analytic type people, but doctors in particular. And I want to talk about how the hyperrational brain can hijack you. Now, I'm going to talk about doctors in particular because I am a doctor, but it applies to anyone who's got that sort of hyperrational mind. And what does the hyperrational mind do? Well, it likes to think about plans. It likes to think about organization. It likes to know what's next. It loves certainty. And to a certain extent, these are good things to want. Like, don't get me wrong, this is not a call against against being rational by any means. But there is a point when relying only on that rational mind will hijack you, especially if you're a physician. Now, we doctors have a very acutely honed mind that works in algorithms, that works in possibilities and potentialities, and most importantly, works on avoiding bad outcomes. Like, the entire point to the doctor's hyper-rational mind, the doctor's logical mind, is to avoid bad outcomes. That's all we think about. Seeing where things can go wrong, making sure we've covered all our bases, all of those things. Again, this is a good thing, but we're tuned specifically to look for problems. Yeah, that's what it is. And we doctors have developed that muscle so keenly, so completely, that we end up ignoring the other ways to take in information, the other ways to synthesize that information, and other ways to make decisions. It's a little bit like going to the gym and only flexing and one bicep, spending time just doing bicep curls on one arm. You are going to have an amazing arm that's going to be able to work really well at arm wrestling, but it's going to be kind of useless for anything else. And it's to the point in doctors where we've worked out this one rational part of our brain to the point where, unfortunately, other parts of our brains have atrophied because of neglect. And I know that's a big thing to say. That's a big thing to big thesis to posit here. But it's actually, when you look at how doctors often react to new things, new challenges, new situations, you will see that it's true, especially when it comes to your own personal happiness and satisfaction. And I say this because I talk to doctors all the time who are just not satisfied with their current work experience, their current professional life. They might be so dissatisfied it's leaching over into their personal life, and they can't even get excited about hobbies or activities that used to make them happy. And they know they want something else. But that hyper-rational mind wants to know exactly what the something else is before you even take a step, wants to know exactly how you're going to get it, and is telling you, and this is the big one, telling you all the reasons why it's not going to work, all the reasons why you shouldn't go for it. And it will bring in, that hyper-rational mind will bring in things that are true, but are actually also what I'll say, excuses or reasons not to get something that doesn't fall into the hyper-rational category. So for instance, and I'm going to use me as an example. For a very long time, I wanted to start a line of skincare products. And there was so much, in me of, well, who am I to do that? I don't know how to, I don't know how to formulate things. How am I going to get customers? How, who am I going to get to formulate this? All of this sort of how stuff. And then the time, but I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to get this organized. It's going to be too big a project for me. And then the regulation. Well, what if something goes wrong? What if this backfires? What if there's legal problems or regulatory problems? All of that. All of these hyper rational, I need to know exactly what's happening because I'm afraid of, or I'm tuned to see problems. And I let that stop me for years, a couple years. And in fact, and then when I reached and when I crept forward to do something and I reached a wall, I said to myself, well, look, guess what? I knew this wasn't going to work out. I knew it wasn't going to work. So I might as, my hyper rational mind says, yep, see, we told you. You weren't going to be able to get this done. You weren't going to find a formula you want. And so, that's not it. You should don't go back to the drawing board, but scrap this idea. And that's where our hyper rational minds hijack us. That's where it is. When you want something and the hyper rational judgmental mind that is trying to avoid problems. The minute it sees problems, it sees that problem as a dead end. Whereas it's not. There's nothing like getting data from something that failed. And when we think about it scientifically, it's like, oh, well, yeah, of course. I want to get data from something that failed. But when it comes to our own desires, we're more likely to listen to that hyper-rational mind that tells us no. So that's all I've got to say. Don't let your hyper-rational mind be the thing that hijacks you from getting what you want, from starting your new project, from doing something that doesn't seem to make sense. If it's something you want from your heart, if it's something that moves your soul, your spirit, do it. Because the hyper-rational mind can't have 100% control. Your hyper-rational mind can't do all the heavy lifting, just like one arm can't do all the heavy lifting. Work on those other muscles of synthesizing, creating, deciding, looking around, evaluating. There's other parts of our brain, there's other parts of our mental intellect that need to be exercised. So give it some exercise. Don't let your hyper-rational mind hijack you. All right, that's all I've got for you now. Thank you